It's Wednesday, it's Brighton Marathon this weekend, the sun is shining outside, and I hope those of you running the Brighton Marathon this weekend have had a lovely relaxing taper so far. But I do suspect at this stage some of the nerves are beginning to jangle a little bit. And that's totally fine, because on Sunday that nervous tension and a little bit of adrenaline will come out and become a fantastic performance if you get the final few days right. So what does it look like the final few days before race day, and how are you going to get this right? It's really now a case of less is more, and I hope you've been taking that approach for the last week and a half, 2 weeks. Really, there's no more fitness to be gained now. You can't prove anything to yourself by going out and doing loads of additional running or an extra faster session. It won't help you on Sunday. It is a case now really of looking after your legs, of preserving what you've got, and is getting as much rest and good nutrition as you possibly can. So I'll be staying off my feet as much as possible over the next few days into the race. I would, however, look to get out and perhaps do an easy run today or tomorrow, and certainly on Saturday morning, just a 15 to 20 minute, very, very light, easy jog to just relax the legs and get yourself back feeling like a runner. It will stop any kind of feeling of rustiness you may feel if you do no running between now and race day. So do get the shoes on, gives you a last chance to check your kit, make sure that everything's as you want it, that you know what shoes you're going to be running in, you know what kit you're going to be running in, and that you feel a little bit more like a runner before race day. Come along to the expo nice and early if you can get along early. Friday and Saturday obviously for the expo at Brighton Marathon. It will get busy, it always does, and there are peaks and troughs throughout the course of the day. So if you can get there on Friday, we would love to see you there. Both myself and Nick will be there throughout the expo. Nick will be hosting all the talks on stage throughout the expo, and we'll both be there on Sunday providing race commentary and cheering all of you guys home as you cross the line. Get to the expo, pick up your number, have a little look around. There's loads of interesting and exciting stalls and information thrown at you, but the key thing there is to remember you're trying to stay off your feet as much as possible over the next few days. So get in, get your number, have a quick look around, maybe chat to myself and Nick, and then get home and get off your feet. Now is not the time to be spending a lot of time walking around Brighton sightseeing or hosting family, or even in the garden doing the decking or building a wall because you've got that bit of extra time where you haven't been training. Less is more now, even though you may have a lot of pent-up energy. You're going to want to expend it by going for an additional run or doing a bit more walking around and sightseeing. Please don't at this stage. If you are used to doing a gym class towards the latter half of your week, please cut that out at this stage. Again, it's not going to be anything that is going to help you on Sunday. Your legs need to feel fresh and ready to go. What I would be doing though is perhaps sitting down with a coffee or with a friend and having a look across your training diary from the last few weeks and months. I want you to have a look across the training you've done, and I want you to write down 5 to 10 key positive statements about things that have gone really, really well. It might be your best long run, it might be a race that you PB'd and that you felt really went well, maybe you've added in some additional stretching or strength and conditioning routines. Whatever it may be, it's your opportunity to get some positive mental statements into your mind before race day, because they really will help you. Going in feeling confident and positive of your fitness is now one of the key things that you can do to make sure you perform well on Sunday. If you do a bit of perhaps a British approach of downplaying where you're at, of perhaps looking towards the negatives and what you've missed in your training, not what you have banked, I genuinely feel that will hold you back on Sunday and hold you back on race day. It's about what you have done, what you do have in the bank, and your training successes, not what you've missed. We all miss training in marathon prep. It happens, it's a journey. So no training cycle is absolutely perfect. It's about what you have done, not what you've missed. So get those positive statements written down, remember them, come up with your pacing plan for Sunday and how you're going to go about approaching the race, which I'll talk about in a bit. And then as much as possible, try to switch off and relax. I know it sounds easier said than done, but you will be able to do it if you maybe distract yourself, maybe you read, maybe you're going to go out and watch a film. Do something that just takes your mind off the race a little bit between now and race day, so you can have a bit of a chance to relax. Make sure that you, if you possibly can, try to get to bed 15 to 20 minutes earlier over the next 2 to 3 nights. It will pay off, it will make a difference. Your body releases growth hormone as you reach your deep sleep phase of your sleep. That's when a lot of the recovery will be happening and polishing off those final few bits of your taper. So if you can, get to bed 15 to 20 minutes earlier, avoid caffeine and alcohol late at night, and make sure you're just getting that little bit of extra sleep in this week. It will make all the difference. Don't rely on having an amazing night's sleep on Saturday night. You probably won't. You're going to be a bit nervous. You're going to be thinking about the next day, and that's normal. World records have been broken after poor night's sleep. It happens. Your best sleep is going to be tonight, tomorrow night, and Friday night. So aim to get to bed that little bit earlier if you possibly can. If you have the option to at work, if you could take Friday off work and just spend a day off your feet, totally relaxing, that would be fantastic. Don't worry if it's not possible to do, but if you can, just take that extra day to have a bit more rest, and do ask your family to be sort of mindful. It may not be the best week to suddenly start doing those jobs around the house, and actually you might need a little bit more help, perhaps looking after the kids, doing the shopping, and allowing you to just have that bit of extra recovery time. You may also, of course, be a bit irrational with family. They may see a slightly different side to you as those nerves and that bit of tension sort of plays out in a week. So do warn them of that in advance, and encourage them to give you that bit of space to feel whatever it is you're going to feel before race day. After you've been to the expo, you will have a lot of information about how to get to and from the start, but I would suggest you planning it out now. How are you going to get down to Preston Park for the start? It is busy, of course it's busy. There is very limited parking, so please plan your way into Brighton or around Brighton using public transport where possible, using a park and ride where possible, or sharing lifts or getting there on foot. But do allow yourself plenty of time to get to the start, and plan it out well in advance. The 24 hours before the race, it is obviously a day, other than perhaps going to the expo and doing that light, easy run that I mentioned, that you stay off your feet as much as possible. Snack and graze on carbohydrates through the course of the day. And on that subject, a carbohydrate load for the marathon, it doesn't need to be a case of going crazy and sticking in every bit of bread, pasta and potatoes that you can fit into your body. It's not like that. Provided that you have been eating well over the last few weeks and your eating levels have been a little bit higher, you've been taking in a little bit more high quality carbohydrate, good quality fats and proteins, ideally all you really need to do is just maintain that over the next few days. Because you're training less, your body will store more of the difference as glycogen and stored sugars in your muscles to use on race day, and it will stop you needing to go and have that massive carbohydrate load that will probably leave you feeling bloated and a bit heavy on Sunday. So don't go crazy on the carb load. Graze and snack on carbohydrates over the next few days, and certainly in that 24-hour period before the race. Your main meal on Saturday night needs to be something reasonably light. It needs to be something that you know works for you, that you had before your key long runs that went really well in training. I would suggest eating it relatively early in the evening, 6-7 o'clock if you possibly can. Alcohol, whilst probably tempting to calm nerves, is probably not going to help you get a good night's sleep. If you stand one chance of getting another night's sleep, why not take it? Please steer clear of the alcohol until after the race, which is the time to then go and celebrate. So get to bed, wake up, the alarm clock goes, it's race day, it will come. The weather looks good so far for Sunday, fingers crossed. Relatively light winds, pretty cool. It's looking perfect for running fast, and it is a fast course out in Brighton. So as I've said, get to the start early, ideally 75 minutes before the start. Get there nice and early, organised. It will give you the chance to go to the loo at least a couple of times. I'm sure you all will need to do that. You will have a kit bag. Please make sure it's labelled up with your right number. Put in the kit bag anything that you don't intend on racing with, and get that kit bag into the luggage lorries at least 30 minutes before the start of the race, because that's when you're going to need to get towards your pen and get ready to race. Make sure you get to your pen nice and early, so sort of 20 to 30 minutes before the start of the race is when you should think about being there, and there will be plenty of advice and information given to you in that start area as to when to get down to the start. But what you don't want to do is get panicking and kind of rushing there, because it will leave you stressed, and you don't need to be in that state. Wear some old clothes if it's looking like it's going to be a bit cool. It doesn't look like it's going to rain, but a bin bag or something like that to cover you up in case it does shower is probably sensible. And that way you don't need to do loads and loads of warming up before the start. You have 26.2 miles to ease into your running. You really don't need to be doing a warm-up before the start of the marathon. So you're going to get into your pen, you're going to surround yourself with that positive bubble, remind yourself of those 5 to 10 key positives from your training, and get focused. The gun is going to go. You will cross the line, your chip will activate, you'll feel like $1 million, and you will want to race like Paula Radcliffe or Mo Farah. You need to take a deep breath in and hold yourself back. The first 10k of the Brighton Marathon course gently weaves through town, a slightly rise out of Preston Park if you're off the mass start, and then drops back down into town and weaves through some of the key landmarks of Brighton, and plenty of crowds out on the street, all clapping for you, of course, and you will find the running super easy in that first 10k. Of course you will, because you've been training for a 42k race and you're only in the first 10k. Of course it feels easy. So the temptation could be to push too hard too soon and bank time for later on in a race. The key thing that I will tell you, and that most running coaches will tell you, is that just doesn't work. Your body has a relatively limited store of carbohydrate, and it won't take you all the way through the race. What we're trying to do in the early stages of the race is preserve as much of that carbohydrate as you can and spread that energy window throughout the course of the whole race. And we do that by making sure that you are no faster than your planned race pace in the first 10k. For those of you who are brave, I'd suggest even going a little slower than your planned race pace in the first 10k and aiming to run the second half faster than the first. If you find that mentally challenging, then certainly I would be on your planned race pace and no faster through that first 10k. Make sure you've got your gel and your nutrition and hydration strategy clear in your mind. You should have practiced it on your long training runs. We'd suggest a gel once every 30 to 40 minutes after perhaps the first 45 to 60 minutes of the race. High Five are there, and they are providing gels and energy products and electrolyte drinks out on the course, which are fantastic. But please do make sure that you are using a strategy and taking the gels which you have practiced with in your training runs. As you then go through the first sort of 5 to 6 miles, you'll gently climb up and out of Brighton. It's not a mountain, there's no snow leopards up there. It is a very gentle climb up into Rodine, round past the school, and then you loop back and come back downhill again. And again, this is an area where you do need to be careful with your pacing. Because if you hit that downhill stretch back into town on towards halfway too fast, I guarantee to you that in that final 10k, your quad muscles in your thighs will start to have a big rumble at you, where you put to a big eccentric load early in the race running fast downhill, and your legs will start to feel a little bit like jelly later on in the race. You need to hold yourself back. The downhill sections, you need to view that as preserved energy for later on in the race. So get to halfway on your planned race pace, or there or thereabouts. The crowds are amazing as you come along the seafront and past the pavilion. Absolutely fantastic area of the course. The hairs will be up in the back of your neck, and you will be tempted to push on. Again, hold back, and there will be a number of pinch points throughout the race where you can be tempted to really push on just through the adrenaline and the noise of the crowd. Save that for the finish. For now, it's a case of locking in and staying plugged into your race strategy and pace. As you move on through the third 10k, it's about staying consistent. finding that the miles just tick away as you perhaps lock into a group that seems to be running a similar pace to you. Perhaps you're just ticking 1 mile off as you go by, 1 mile at a time. You're sticking on your planned nutrition strategy and making sure that you get to that key 30k, 18, 20 mile section of the race feeling as good and as fresh as you possibly can. There are a number of switchbacks on the course where you will come back and loop back on yourself, and one of those is this third section of the race as you head back in towards town and then come slightly back on yourself before then turning out towards the power station and on towards 20 miles. Now it's a bit of a cliche, but in terms of psychologically this is certainly true. The marathon begins at 20 miles. Everything else has been transporting you to the point that you're going to throw every last bit of energy you can at the final 10k of the race. You're going to need a few mental strategies for this part of the race, there's no doubt about it, whether you're super experienced, whether you're running your first marathon. At some stage, the marathon starts to feel tough. That's what it's about. It's 26.2 miles of hard running. And at some point, the legs are going to tell you they're ready to slow down. That doesn't mean they actually are, okay? You need to start to review those mental strategies you had before the race, those 5 to 10 key positives from your training. Perhaps you're going to dedicate every mile or every kilometre of that final section of the race to somebody special in your life. Perhaps you're the sort of person who responds very well to focusing on themselves. What does your form look like? Are you up and tall with your shoulders relaxed? Has your stride length got a bit too long? Has your leg speed reduced a little bit too much? Focus on what you can control and things that are going to really get you whipped up and motivated to hold it together when the going gets tough. So here we are. You are moving through that final 10k of the race, and you know, I'm a competitive running coach. Your goal should be to finish as high up this field as you possibly can. So look, pick a vest in front, 20, 30 metres down the road, pull them in. Pick another vest 20 or 30 metres down the road, pull them in. At the end of the day, guys, this is about you doing the best you possibly can when the going gets a little bit tough. And we're all in a race. It will be tough for the people around you as well. You need to get out there and simplify your thoughts, focus on what you can control, and as much as your body's hurting, recognise that you're still in control of that and you can push through and still deliver a fantastic performance here. Race those final 10k, those final 8k, whatever it may be, the marathon, to make sure that you're not just getting overwhelmed with tiredness and fatigue and gradually fading off in that final 10k. The noise from the finish line is like a funnel. It will carry you in. You can hear it from a couple of miles away, and it just winds and winds and winds and winds, and you'll start to feel that adrenaline and that motivation. You can almost taste the finish line. At this point, you can and should have turned the watch the other way round, and you should just be racing for the finish. Allow the crowd to lift you up. Allow yourself to push that effort level up that little bit more. Try to expend every bit of energy that you put in the bank for your taper and all those key hard long runs. It's time to spend that energy and spend what you've got in the bank. So race for the finish line, and as you start to see the crowds unfold in front of you, wipe your face, do your hair, make yourself presentable, pump your fist in the air as you cross the line, because you've done it. You've finished the Brighton Marathon 2017 and you will have a fantastic day. Remember that this is an experience, particularly if it's your first marathon, that will stay with you for the rest of your life. For many people, it's a life-changing experience, and remember that over the next few days. You've chosen to do this. This is something positive. This is something that you can enjoy and that you want to do. It is a bucket list moment that will stay with you for the rest of your life. Come and chat to us at the Expo. We will see you after the races. We commentate on you as you cross the line. We can't wait to see you out there. Have a fantastic day. Enjoy every moment, and good luck to you all.